Hello and welcome to the Just Interesting podcast, the show that's not boring, it's not too interesting, it's, it's somewhere in between, it's fine, let's move on. How are you both? You okay?
Thrilled to be back after that stunning introduction, Alex. Thank you so much.
Good, glad to hear it. How about you, Martin?
Enjoying myself. Having a good week. I watched The Matrix again this week, and it holds up well.
That's good.
Apart from spoilers, it's 21 years old or whatever, is it? 99, is it?
Yeah, 99.
If you haven't watched The Matrix at this point...
almost 22 years old. The only part that doesn't hold up is Agent Smith when he kind of blows up at the end.
Oh, yeah, visually.
I know what you mean.
Visually, it looks it's a bit kind of...
I was worried you're going to say, it's a bit racist or something like that.
Oh, yeah, well, it's always been racist. No, but actually, yeah, I was surprised because I haven't seen it in at least a decade, and it was actually very good. So, I mean, that's not related to how I am, but it's a nicety of this week.
Did it give you some kind of existential crisis? Are you feeling like we're living in a simulation right now or anything? Do you feel like you're in a rabbit hole?
It made me feel like I was... I don't know. I would have preferred to have been in the Matrix, either in the Matrix or outside the Matrix, in the Matrix world of the movie than in our one, quite frankly, in a lot of ways. But that's the joy of escapism and of digital media, isn't it? Or all types of media.
Exactly.
You can escape into another world for that 90-minute hit.
And I do sometimes feel like Cypher. I just want to tuck into a nice juicy steak.
Yep.
Knowing all it is electrical impulses sent to my brain.
Exactly.
and ignorance is bliss. Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, after all. And our audience, we will be plugging you with electrical impulses over the next hour or so with this, because ignorance is bliss. But sadly, we'll be talking about the real world and politics.
Which way? I've watched it. I watched it a couple of days ago. Which pill's which? You take the blue pill and remain in the world.
Yeah, it's obviously the blue pill. It's not going to be the red pill, is it?
All right, calm down. So you'll be taking which pill will you be taking? You'll be taking the red pill. You'll be enlightened.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say we're red or blue. We're like the yellow pill.
Yellow pill. It's just cod liver oil.
We're beige, actually. We're more like beige.
Exactly. But yes, we will be talking about, America, I guess, and what happens next now that after everything that's happened in the past week, we'll be talking about our reactions to that and ultimately asking the question, can America come back from where it is currently? In terms of political divisiveness, left versus right, Trumpism. Can America come back to where it was, pre-Trump?
You could say, can America be great again?
You could. I wasn't going to, but you just did. So let's roll with it.
Yeah.
Will Biden make America great again? That's what we'll be discussing later. But in the meantime, I just wanted to thank our sponsors for this week's podcast, which is our Patreon supporters. So thank you so much to everyone sponsoring us on Patreon. You are helping keep this podcast going, and your support is greatly appreciated. If you did want to check out our latest post on Patreon, we talk specifically about Biden's inauguration, which is coming up in just a few days' time.
When we recorded this?
Yes, exactly. And whether we think anything's going to happen drastic during it, whether we're going to see a repeat of the events of last week, we go into a lot of detail there to save us so we don't have to talk about that in this week's one. We're talking specifically about what happens next after the inauguration in his first 100 or so days. What's Biden going to be up to?
We also did 2 patrons this week, Alex. Just to butt in there, didn't we?
Oh, yes, we did.
Because that's what we're doing now, because we reached our goal, and thank you very much for supporting us into reaching our goal. So the other one was on a mystery dinosaur
Question
found in Antarctica. So if you're fed up of us talking politics, then go over and check that out at patreon.com/justinteresting.
Yeah, a bit of a mix of content there. You've got a variety. A serious discussion about Biden's inauguration security concerns versus ancient dinosaur found in Antarctica.
There we go.
It's just quality content all round.
Don't say the spice of life. Exactly. Yeah.
And then, of course, after our main topic for discussion, we'll be doing a quiz, which I will be hosting this week to give you guys a little bit of a break from all the beating that I've been doing.
Yeah, that's right.
All the winning.
Are you on 100% at the moment? I think you are.
I'm 100%
You are
out of 2 quizzes, so let's not get carried away.
Of the hill.
That's pretty good. I'm 0%.
So before we jump into our main topic of discussion, Martin, what have you learned this week?
I learn about probably the most unfortunate soul. Well, actually, no, that's too dramatic. I learned about an unfortunate person this week, and he's unfortunate because he's lost a lot of money, and that's always unfortunate.
Oh dear.
I mean, the fact is, he's lost money which he got for free. Okay, so this man, he mined Bitcoin way back when Bitcoin was barely in its infancy, and so he mined 7,500 Bitcoin. It's a man.
Wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of Bitcoin.
Wow.
It is. So this dude, he's an IT worker. He's from Wales. He's from a place called Newport in South Wales. He's called James Howells. And so James, he mined this Bitcoin. I don't actually know exactly when he mined it, but the key thing here is that unfortunately in 2013, after I think he spilled a drink on his hard drive that had all the Bitcoin on it, he put it in a drawer because the laptop wasn't working. And it's not clear who cleared the drawer. I don't think he's laid blame here, but it seems like him or someone in his family cleared out the drawers, got rid of this hard drive in 2013. Now, in 2013, this was still worth close to £1 million, this Bitcoin.
Wow.
So someone got rid of almost £1 million. I think it was 800,000 or 900,000 pounds, which is mental in itself. But of course, now that Bitcoin, instead of being worth £900,000, is worth an estimated £210 million.
Oh my god.
So James here has lost a potential basically a Euro Millions win, right? £210 million.
Oh my god. That's insane.
And I mean, he must hear that 7-letter word, Bitcoin, and almost throw up every time.
Oh,
I know
no.
I would. That is.
Oh man.
And anyway, so James at first was obviously disappointed, but he had his family to be getting on with when he first threw away the hard drive when it was worth close to
Except for
£1
the
million.
family member who threw the hard drive away.
Yeah.
They are excited. They are out.
They're probably next in the dustbin. But he kind of got on with it. And now, of course, with Bitcoin increasing so much in value, it became more and more interesting, or more and more devastating. Let's say, and he became increasingly desperate to get hold of this hard drive that had the Bitcoin on. Yeah. But of course, it was in landfill since 2013. So he went to Newport Council and offered them $30 million, I believe, £30 million. Since then, he's put out another offer to Newport Council of over £50 million now. Wow. So he's up the ante as the price of the Bitcoin's gone up.
Surely this hard drive's gone.
Well, that's the thing. We're talking 8 years worth of rubbish on top of this. Saying a needle in a haystack's probably underestimating how difficult this is to find. We're talking a hard drive in millions of tons or thousands of tons worth of rubbish. I mean, poor James, he headed to the landfill site, and he's been there a few times. But his quote was, "When I went up to the landfill site yesterday, my first thought was, I've got no chance." So here we go. Unfortunately, James, the bottom line is you're not going to get your Bitcoins, are you?
Wow,
that's so sad. When you know it's there somewhere in that big landfill.
Exactly.
You're never going to get it.
No.
That's
and
so
Newport Council, unfortunately, the offer of 50 odd million was tempting, but they don't actually have the permission to excavate the site.
Oh, right, of course.
They don't have the permit to do that. So unfortunately, it's going to be lost forever. But oh my goodness, I mean,
but he's kicking himself. Bloody hell.
210 million.
That's just crazy.
He must go to work resenting it every day. James.
Oh,
Sorry,
thanks
James.
for that, Martin. That's made me feel so sorry for that guy. But it's an interesting story nonetheless.
Yeah.
Robin, how about you? What did you learn this week?
Well, interestingly, from a potential millionaire to an actual billionaire, I was reading about Howard Hughes this week, the filmmaker and aviation king, I guess, who I think is worth $1.5 billion when he died in 1976, which would now be like $6 billion or something.
Nice.
But he actually had quite a tragic life. He was a notable eccentric, and as many people know, he was a recluse in his later life, and he moved around from hotel to hotel, sometimes or always renting whole suites or whole floors, sometimes buying the hotels so that he could live in privacy with his entourage of staff.
Has anyone told him he can buy his own house? Just throwing it out there.
Well, he has definitely some kind of, several kind of conditions, both physical and mental health conditions. But he had particular obsessions, and one of his obsessions was he loved ice cream. And what he would do is he'd fixate on a particular flavor and get kind of obsessed with it. And I came across this anecdote where one time in this later part of his life where he was moving around, he was in the Desert Inn Hotel in Las Vegas. And he got really obsessed with Baskin-Robbins banana nut ice cream. And he'd eat it every day in large quantities. So his aides thought they'd go and buy a massive supply to keep him happy for the foreseeable future. And they were buying it in, and then one day they go to the local supplier, and the supplier says, we're out of banana nut ice cream. And they say, oh, when can you get some more? And they said, oh, it's discontinued. Baskin-Robbins is no longer making banana nut ice cream. So they go to Baskin-Robbins, who are based in Los Angeles, I think, and they say, can you take a special order for banana nut ice cream for Howard Hughes? And they say, yeah, sure, but the minimum we can do is make 350 gallons of ice cream for a special order. 350 gallons.
So what's that? That's how many liters in a gallon? Is it 4? 4 is it? 6? No. 4 liters in a gallon?
Yeah, you can't really. I don't know. So you get like pint tubs. It's like
so it's
normal.
1,500 liters, and you get like half a liter as a tub.
Yeah,
typically.
So that's like 3,000 tubs.
4.5 liters. Yeah,
3,000 tubs of ice cream.
3,000 tubs of Baskin-Robbins.
Amazing.
So they make all this, and they go to the expense, and they get it shipped back to Las Vegas. So by the time they've made this special order and shipped it all to the Desert Inn Hotel, Howard Hughes is like, oh, I'm bored.
Don't like it.
I'm bored of banana nut ice cream. I want vanilla. So
vanilla.
Yeah. So it goes vanilla. So and then he moves hotel. So they just leave all the ice cream with the Desert Inn Hotel. And apparently for the next year, they gave away free Baskin-Robbins banana nut ice cream to anyone who visited the hotel.
I mean, I know that 3,500 tubs or whatever, how many gallons it was, it's a lot of ice cream. It's a shitload of ice cream. But for a factory like Baskin-Robbins, that's not a lot of ice cream. So I imagine that he's probably got a premium on every tub. That's going to cost him an absolute fortune. I mean, he's a billionaire, he doesn't care. But still, it just seems mad to do that. Yeah,
he was. I mean, a sad individual and a kind of awesome in like represents both the worst excesses and the fantasy excesses of billionaires in terms of like he just spent his money and like that's what you should do. That's like every kids movie, we like Richie Rich where he becomes a millionaire and it's like this is all the things I do with my money. And like that's how he uses life. But
it's like he's just gone through. It's like he's gone through the worst breakup in history. 3,000 tubs of ice cream, please.
So he didn't have any of it. He was just like, nah.
Not of the special order, no. Didn't touch it.
That's madness.
Did they tell him that, like, if you don't have any of this, you're never going to have this flavour ever again because they've discontinued it? Take a few tubs at least. And he was like, no, vanilla.
I hope they tried, but it looks like it didn't work.
You've got to have a big freezer for all that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they store all that.
In a hotel?
Yeah.
In a hotel room, yeah.
Sorry, today there was no meat on the menu because our freezer is full of ice cream.
All one flavour as well.
So Alex, what did you learn?
Nice. Well, you've both brought these like really in-depth stories as your things that you've learned this week, and I've been really impressed with them. Mine is just like a one-line quick thing that I just thought was interesting and something I'd never thought about before, really. But so during the colonization of Greenland, Greenland was, of course, colonized by
the Vikings.
No, Denmark.
Okay.
In like the 16th, 17th centuries.
Okay.
Because Greenland is part of Denmark. Because do you remember when Trump was trying to buy Greenland from Denmark?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
I thought you were talking about Eric. Is it? Leif Erikson. That was it. Sorry.
No. Oh yeah. No. But during the Danish colonization of Greenland, a missionary called Hans Egede found that the local Inuit populations, obviously he was trying to convert them to Christianity. They had no concept for what bread was because it wasn't in their diet. So he changed the Lord's Prayer for them to give us this day our daily seal.
Nice.
Amazing.
Which I thought was just an interesting little tidbit. And I wonder if that's ever happened in other parts of history where
you need to see
missionaries have had to adapt certain parts so it makes sense. I think there was I think they also had to adapt sheep as well. Because some in certain parts of the world, because populations had no idea about sheep existing. So
Lamb of God becomes what? Puppy of dog or something.
I think I can't remember where I read this, but I think there was a Brazilian population, and they changed sheep to your flock of sheep. They changed it to flock of swine. My flock of swine. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Just something I'd never thought about before.
That's interesting.
That must have happened.
Yeah.
Give us this day our daily seal.
It does sound like a lot to be eating a whole seal a day.
Daily seal.
Is this per person?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I mean, I think it probably was part of their daily diet.
Yeah.
But a whole seal. You'd hope a whole seal would last you a week at least.
Yeah, probably just a bit of seal.
A bit of seal, yeah. I mean, there are issues. I mean, this is completely off topic. But there are issues in some of the South Pacific islands of people having their diet consisting too much of bread, and their daily bread being 90% of their diet. There are really high levels of heart disease that came from a lot of the sodium.
Yeah,
because bread contains so much salt. So yeah, that's a little tidbit for you.
Can't do anything else with it, can they?
I eat a lot of bread. Now I'm worried. Thanks, Martin.
Would you eat a couple of loaves a day?
I eat 5 loaves a day. Can I keep up with my daily five, right?
5 fish, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks both of you for sharing what you learned this week. Shall we move on to some of our favourite comments from the past week?
Yes.
Nice.
Snap.
So I've got a comment from Texas Ranger 9 who commented saying, "What about this prophecy that Trump is the last US president again?" And I think this is referring to the 2020 predictions. And was it Baba Vanga or Nostradamus? Apparently
Baba Vanga, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she didn't say that Trump would be the last president, but I think she said the 45th president will be the last US president. Or no, was it that Obama would be the last real US president?
Something like that. It was the wording. I forget the wording.
Yeah, as we discussed, a lot of it's kind of translated or hearsay from someone who heard Baba Vanga say it. Yeah. So the meaning can get lost, and they're sometimes duplicates saying different things. But yeah, interesting.
Either way, though, it looks like whatever prophecy it was, you're right, Texas Ranger. Maybe by next week, it could have been proven false if Biden is sworn in and all goes ahead swimmingly. But we shall see.
But if there's no crowd at his inauguration, does it count?
If Biden gets inaugurated in a forest and no one's around to see it.
Does it happen? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I've got mine refers to the same video and the 2021 predictions, and the video before last saying, will these psychics predict 2021? And this one specifically was about Nicholas Ahuja, the psychic, who predicted that Kim and Kanye would suffer heartbreak this year, and he specifically said they could be getting a divorce. And so Mindy Widowson says Kim and Kanye are getting divorced, and AJ Armitage Reed says can't wait for you guys to come back. There's sure a lot to talk about right now. Kim K prediction is correct, and some of the others are up for coming close. It's 8 days into 2021. Maybe this guy is onto something, and so maybe he is. He's got this one right.
Oh yeah, the Capitol riots, we had civil unrest and violence
exactly
there.
Yeah.
Kim and Kanye breaking up. Natalie Portman's next.
Yeah, unlucky Natalie. But yeah, I mean, it seems pretty weird, doesn't it? This soon into 2021 as well.
It is a bit. I'm going to be watching what this guy's investing in, what stocks he's investing in, because either he's good at prophesizing things, or he's just very smart at working out what's going on.
I mean, that's the thing that was interesting to see. I mean, if you looked in, say, December or November in 2020, were there rumblings? I don't know enough about Kim and Kanye in their personal life to know whether this would be an actuality. So
I think Kanye in general probably gave people enough clues that maybe their their relationship was going to go south.
Perhaps,
yeah.
And you look up Alex, ask him what he invested in last year, and he tells you, I invested in Tesla. And you're like, oh, damn
it. Yeah. No. Tesla. What else has blown up in the last year? I don't know.
Bitcoin again.
Bitcoin again.
Yeah.
My comment is from last week's podcast, which was about the Holy Grail. Some amateur historian claimed to have found the location of the Holy Grail in England under a river in Hounslow. I just like saying Hounslow, just going to say it again.
Why not Hounslow?
But Rocket Summer commented and said something very profound and observant, I thought. Something we hadn't thought about, which is maybe the real Holy Grail was the friends we made along the way.
I like it. Very good.
Like it.
It's true. I imagine if the disciples told that to Christ on the cross, he'd have a few words for them.
Rather angry words.
But also, imagine you're on the complete tangent, but like, I know you're the Son of God, so you're inclined to behave positively towards anybody. But you're on the cross, you're nailed to it. You've been given vinegar to drink. You've got a crown of thorns on. The centurions have stabbed you with a spear in the side, and your family's there watching you die. And then somebody comes up and just collects your blood coming out of the side of you. Like, what do you do? And you're just like, what are you doing, mate?
What are you doing? Let me have this. Leave me alone.
Come on.
I'm already dying for your sins, mate. Leave me alone. Yeah.
Whilst you're down there, could you take the nail out of my feet?
Yeah, which is your mind. Yeah.
Well, thank you for those comments, and as always, keep them coming in. Fellas, I think it's time that we move on to the main topic of discussion this week, which is, well, shall we start with the question? Can the US come back from this? And I'm sure there'll be an image on screen of the QAnon shaman. Can they come back from this? The events of last week, but I guess in a broader sense, the kind of political divisiveness that's happened, not even over the last 4 years, maybe the last 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know how far you want to go back. But it definitely has seemed to ramp up over the last couple of months, with a lot of the rhetoric being that the election was fraudulent. I think it was something like 80 or 90% of Republicans don't trust the results of the election, which is mad, really. Like, nearly half of the electorate in the US don't trust the results of the election.
Crazy.
And that's America is this beacon of the hallmark of Western democracy, isn't it? Like, and that peaceful transfer of power is supposed to be this shining example for the rest of the world. And that has been tarnished, I guess, in the last week or so. So, yeah, the question we wanted to ask this week is, will everything go back to quote-unquote normal now that Biden is becoming president? And what will he do as president to bring things back to normal, if it's possible at all?
Yeah, he keeps, his whole message at the moment is unity. He keeps talking about, that's his slogan, isn't it? Which is a good slogan, and it's important. It's good that he's putting that front and center. But you can say it. Can you do it?
Yeah, and how? How do you do it? I mean, there's worries that after the events of last week, he's going to follow on from like the precedent that history has set of let's move on from this now. Let's not prosecute, and let's heal and grow. And I don't know. Do you think that would be the right thing for him to do, or to take the high road and let everything slide that's happened in the last week and just kind of move on from there? Or do you think there needs to be repercussions?
It depends what you mean. I think heal and grow at the moment seems to be the Republican euphemism for pardon Trump and let everyone off. who's aided and abetted him in his crimes. And he has committed crimes. It's quite possible that some of the things that people have accused him of doing aren't really crimes, but he definitely has committed some crimes, and a lot of them whilst in office. And even if he hasn't committed crimes, he's done a lot of harm, and the people who've helped him have done a lot of harm. And I think it's even possible that there are people who've done harm on his watch, not directly related to him, like William Barr, for example. I imagine he has done a lot of damage to the Justice Department in America and the Justice Department's legitimacy and the fairness of the justice system in America, which already has lots of problems. And he's done it knowing that Trump probably didn't care and therefore wasn't going to pay attention to what he was doing. I think a big part of healing is accountability. And I think maybe it's too soon to mention this, but for me, the obvious go-to example is what happened at the end of World War II. Obviously, the vast majority of Nazis, members of the Nazi Party in Germany and Austria and the other countries that they invaded, they were let off, so to speak. They were allowed to continue their lives as ordinary citizens. But we also had the Nuremberg trials. And the Nuremberg trials were deliberately a show trial in order to say, there is accountability for your actions. We're not going to let you get away with this. But what they did was say, okay, there are 60 million Germans and people who aided them. We can't jail or execute them all. That's a bit silly. We understand that a lot of them were coerced into this or swept up in the euphoric kind of hype of the moment, or just doing a job. But we're going to keep these people, the instigators and the people who led them, and we're going to put them on trial, the ones we can, the ones who didn't commit suicide. And that's an important thing. And most of them got executed. And I think, whilst I'm not saying these people should be executed, I think that's the approach that they should take. And I think healing also includes accountability. And I think it is the right thing to do would not be to do a Gerald Ford and pardon Nixon, but I think the right thing to do would be to hold Trump accountable for everything he's done, and everyone who helped Trump, all the leaders, and that might include Congress people.
Well, this is what Nancy Pelosi said the other day, didn't she? She said that this matter might not be resolved by Congress, but might have to be resolved by prosecutors, because there is apparently evidence that some Congress people may have helped instigate or even helped plan and organize the events of last week. That I think there were some reports that I think one of the squad, I can't remember her name, noticed that all the panic buttons in her office had been ripped out. Did you see that?
What?
Wow.
No, I missed that one. I knew that there'd been talk of people taking tours who were then involved in the riots, taking tours around the Capitol and being given tours potentially by authorized by senators, Republican senators to be precise. No, I didn't know that. That sounds crazy.
That's pretty shocking.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think there's an issue here, isn't there? There's an issue between healing and growing the nation as a whole and ensuring that from the top level something like this can't happen again. In terms of a grab of power. So yeah, as you say, Robin, the main thing is about accountability, and I think it's through that accountability that you'll get that healing. Hopefully, you'll get people who are in politics for the right reasons, getting into politics because instead of people that just want to be there to grab power or to be a celebrity. It is an impossible job for Biden right now, trying to bring the country together. He has to use non-inflammatory rhetoric. He's got to. There's no other. I don't think there's any other way around it. But at the same time, keep those who instigated the riots, but also this divisiveness in politics. But it's such a broad issue as well. It's not just about politicians. It's not just about Trump or about leading Republicans wanting to grab power. It's also about, I don't know, the issues with social media and the fact that social media naturally works to polarize society. It tells you, it's a bit of an echo chamber. It surrounds you with people who have similar opinions to you, whether they're right or wrong, and then feeds you those opinions on loop. And that's a major issue that won't be resolved by what Biden decides to do next. That's a societal issue. That's an issue for huge corporations as well. And I mean, that just doesn't affect America. That affects us globally.
You've also got the root problems that America suffers from and has suffered from, and Western society as a whole has suffered from, particularly or made more obvious by recent events like the 2008 recession, which is the massive inequality and suffering of ordinary people, which is what has given rise to the situation we have now. It's not that these people who are rioting on behalf of Trump are inherently evil, as we discussed in our Patreon episode. They are expressing anger and frustration with the world and the lot they've been dealt in life, and you need to help those people. And it doesn't matter, they're the kind of people who suffered so much, at least in their own minds, by poor circumstances and poverty, that they all jump on any bandwagon that makes them feel empowered. And that's obviously what demagogues do. They take advantage of that. I'm sure we'll talk about this in a moment, but in terms of the long term, I think the interesting challenge will be, and the interesting thing to see will be, whether Trumpism is truly a cult of personality, and whether healing can be achieved simply by putting Trump aside and letting him fade into obscurity, or whether he's actually simply the figurehead for a movement of republicanism that's been there all along, and we didn't realize it, but now it's here, out in the open and quite influential in American politics, because of course they're the ones who are voting for Republican politicians, so Republican politicians are going to cater towards that vote and the people who want those things, even if they're people who are victims of wider societal issues who are simply jumping on a bandwagon.
I guess, yeah, going back to the example of, it's not a great example, but the example of Germany after World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, German society's gone back to a semblance of normality. You look at who's in power at the moment, or through pretty much post World War II, really, and they've reached a level where, I mean, you look at World War II and you think about what led to that, the crippling of the economy, especially after World War One, and then the kind of using that as the gasoline for the fire. For people to follow Hitler. So I'm not doing a direct comparison to Hitler and Trump. I'm not trying to do that. I think it's lazy. But I'm just saying that if there's someone who's a cult of personality, as it seems Trump is, once they're gone, and once those societal issues are rectified, then we can get back to people not feeling like they need to follow a particular leader, a particular personality. Who will lie their way to their votes, but not necessarily deliver on what they believe to be improvements for the nation.
I suppose continuing that comparison with Trump and Hitler, just for the time being, not comparing the two themselves, but the obvious difference initially is that Trump isn't going to shoot himself in his bunker. When Biden becomes president, Trump is still going to be there. Whether he's prosecuted for crimes or whether he goes and starts his own TV show, he's still going to be a figure, and possibly still a political figure, potentially running again in 2024. So that is always a possibility. I think, obviously, we haven't even spoken about the main issue Biden has on his plate as soon as he becomes president, which is COVID and sorting out the US's coronavirus response, which is it fair to say that Trump hasn't really been a part of since losing the election? He's hasn't really done much in that regard. Is that fair, or is that too politically?
No, I think that's correct. Charged. I think he's done. I was going to say he's done the bare minimum, but it's weirder than that. He's kind of done. He removed red tape that allowed the accelerated development of a vaccine. Except everyone in the world did that, and the vaccines that have been developed first are not American exclusive vaccines. They are international efforts. Trump hasn't really contributed that much at all. And even then, did you see the other day that the Trump administration announced that they were going to finally, after much delays and after much begging from the individual states, they were going to release the stockpile of vaccine doses that they had in order to allow the states to finally start accelerating their rollout of the vaccine to the most vulnerable in society.
It's madness. That hasn't been done already.
It hasn't been done already, but it turns out there is no stockpile. It doesn't exist. They announced that they were releasing it, but there's nothing to release. And it's just... I say, it's like bare minimum, doesn't even cover it.
So this is something that Biden has to come in, basically start from scratch, I guess. And that's going to be one of his main focuses in his first 100 days, I'm guessing. But going back to what we were talking about before COVID, even putting COVID aside, he has a huge problem that I don't think American presidents have had to deal with, at least in my lifetime. I don't know if you can think of any examples like this, where a large proportion of the electorate don't trust the results of the election. Has that ever happened? Because that seems like a hallmark, like the one thing that you could rely on in America is the peaceful transfer of power, except for the whole Civil War thing. But
do you think that the real emphasis on not trusting the postal vote, and the fact that the postal votes were in a lot of cases were counted after, do you think that they'll change the way that that's done? I'm not saying they'll get rid of postal voting, of course they won't, but what they will do is that they'll either count it first, or they'll change it around somehow so that it's less of a. Because I think that he could easily. It was so obvious that he said that it was fraudulent, and then of course, when it came down to it, he claimed that he'd won several states, only for it to for Biden's vote to come in later on and wipe out his gains, and he ended up losing.
And that's what people said were going to happen from the very get-go.
Of course, but because he kind of managed to weaponize that effectively. Do you think they'll change that, and that will make a big difference to people's perception of whether a vote is legitimate, or do you think it's a wider issue than that?
I mean, that would be one of the many things I think they should probably do. It would be sensible to. I don't know why they don't do it anyway. Why there's a general pattern across all 50 states that they count the postal votes after they've counted all the votes on the day. Especially since they've got most of the postal votes before the election, and only a few states actually bother counting them before election day. I do find it a bit odd that they don't count the postal votes, before. I'm really interested to see how the next few elections go, because you've got this weird thing where are Democratic voters who don't traditionally turn up to the polls going to turn up to the polls because they've suddenly seen how valuable voting can be if they actually bother to vote, or will they still not bother to turn up because that was the way they did it before? Or will Republican voters suddenly stop turning up to the polls because they no longer trust the election?
But I mean, I think like no matter what Biden does in terms of like trying to make elections more transparent, you've at the end of the day, people like Republicans in this election have disputed the results, had several recounts, taken this to the Supreme Court, and they've all been thrown out. And still, 80 to 90% of Republicans don't believe the results of the election or don't trust it. They don't trust objective reality. Like, what can he do to, like, regain their trust? And you've got senators and Republican congressmen going on national news, like Ted Cruz, saying, like, millions of people don't trust the election. So there needs to be an investigation into that. Well, yes, you're the one that's causing people not to trust it by spouting it.
I mean, that's step one.
How does Biden stop that?
I mean, that's step one, to the opposition to not have someone who's willing just to spout lies. And that's why it comes back to the whole thing of being accountable, and the fact that people that do spout lies and do put free and fair elections in jeopardy should be held accountable, because then you won't have those people, hopefully you won't have those people in power, because they know that if they do that, there'll be consequences. It kind of loops back around for sure.
So with that in mind, I think there was like over 100 Republican congressmen who voted to overturn the results of the election, right? or voted to dispute the election, which was unprecedented. I think that's never really happened before. In previous elections, it's just been a formal process where everyone just kind of signs on and like, yeah, sure. Maybe you get one or two dissenters, but over 100 Republican congressmen disputing the results of the election is just unheard of. Should they all be disbarred, banned from ever holding office again? And how would you even go about that? Would that improve the situation in terms of trust, or will that make Biden look like, he's running a police state where no dissenting opinions are allowed?
No, I think you've got this problem of, ironically, for the first time, it's quite possible that a lot of those people are actually acting in the best interests of their voters. It could be that the people who voted for them believe the election was fixed, and so they are voting in line with the people who voted for them. Even if they don't necessarily hold those views themselves, it's possible. So there's this whole constant criticism, which I agree with, of Congress people being scared of Trump voters, and that's why they're pandering to them. But to a certain extent, that's how democracy is supposed to... Sorry, a representative democracy is supposed to work. So it's kind of like, I think in a way that's good. The problem is, the problem here is that these people, these politicians are feeling scared and accountable to voters who are being fed lies
That's it.
by their boss and by the politicians themselves in some cases. So it's a snake that's eating itself. Except the irony in this case always is that the snake, if it ate itself, it would eventually destroy itself. But in this case, it isn't. It's kind of it's just growing bigger.
So would a potential solution to that be if Biden was introduced laws that were like kind of clamped down on what could be said on cable news or social media? I don't know, like trying to tackle how some of the stuff like Fox News can gets away with like their opinion pieces and their talking heads just spouting opinions, but people take their word for it. Do you think
very difficult to put that genie back in the bottle, isn't it? When it's seen as accepted by not only the editorial teams at the papers, but by the general public and the people they're appealing to.
Yeah,
and their ratings are fixed around that kind of way of doing things. So there's no reason why they would.
There's no way of putting Tucker Carlson back in the bottle.
Unfortunately, there's no way of doing that, and I think it gets even more complicated when you're looking at big social media giants as well.
Yeah,
in the very base level, they just don't have the resources to be able to police all the disinformation.
Yeah.
And they can do it for major accounts, of course, like Trump's, and flag it, and people can self-police and flag stuff they come across that they think is disingenuous, but at the same time, it's just an impossible task, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the who watches the watcher problem as well. Like, it's really hard to control. Free speech is very important, and I think America was wonderful for having a constitution that prioritizes free speech. But I think it's very hard for any government in any country to say, we're a democracy, we value freedom of thought, but we need you to start controlling what people say, and we're going to tell you what people are allowed to say.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you deal with that.
Yeah, it's tough because freedom of speech is such a broad term.
It is.
I guess there's the whole thing of, by spouting lies, you're in a way you're not giving the person you're spouting them to the freedom to make an informed decision. I don't know. Are you limiting someone else's true freedom based on the fact that you're lying? So is that really? Can you really be saying? I don't know. I think there's that fine line between it being able to say what you want and what you think, and then spouting information that's actually dangerous to others. And that's what it's come down to at this stage, isn't it? With the lies, the misinformation is actually dangerous in a real world scenario. With the events at Capitol and those 5 people died, if it wasn't for the fact that misinformation about the results of the election had been spouted again and again and again and again by numerous high-profile politicians without really any prevention from anyone. Yeah.
Do you think Biden can succeed? Do you think he can get past this? Because already the beginning of his presidency is going to be dominated by the impeachment of Trump.
I think that he's going to have a lot of challenges, and this is going to be one big one, regaining trust in the electorate. But I think his best shot at doing that might be to just have a good, decent government that is actually providing stuff for the people. If they can say, like, well, actually, I've done better under Biden than Trump, then I think they might just Trump could fade away. And I mean, he is promising bigger stimulus checks, which I think is what gained the Democrats the Senate seats in Georgia, because Mitch McConnell was refusing to up that to $2,000. So if he follows through with that, puts money, tangible money in people's pockets, and can get this coronavirus pandemic under control in 100 days, which is what he's aiming for, do you think that could go some way to restoring people's faith in government?
For a minority, if we're talking about members of the opposition, or the public who support the opposition, it's more about what they believe in rather than the truth.
Yeah.
And so, regardless, I mean, I always say this around the area that I live in, it's very, very highly conservative. And I say you could pin a rosette on a blue rosette, which is the conservative colour, on a donkey, and people would vote for it. They don't care what's true or how good someone's done. There'd always be a way of discrediting and undermining someone's achievements. And you see this a lot with when people talk about Obama. A lot of Republicans talk about Obama, and yes, a lot of the stuff he didn't get everything right, especially when you're talking about I don't know, drone attacks abroad.
Yeah,
right?
foreign policy.
Personally, I've got an issue with that. But at the same time, some of the stuff that's spouted about him is very much personal attacks and doesn't actually refer to his presidency at all, or any of the positives or negatives. And when you have people that want to stoop to that level, I don't think there's really any negotiating. They'll find a way to want to be angry at the opposition regardless.
I'm glad you brought up Obama, actually, Martin, because a lot of the problems, a lot of his perceived failures are a direct result of the Republicans, and Mitch McConnell in particular, doing their utmost, and successfully, to block his attempts to improve things and his attempts to fix a lot of the problems. I'm not saying he would have fixed them, but he was attempting to begin the process, at least, of fixing a lot of the societal problems that people who have voted for Trump are frustrated by. But they were frustrated by them now because the Republicans actively prevented the Democrats for decades, but particularly in the Obama years, from actually doing anything about those problems. And Alex, what you just said, I think I agree with you. I think in an ideal world, Biden's policies, for the most part, if he follows through on them, could really not only just do America good in principle, but also really help heal the country and help it come back from the poison that is the Trump movement. I don't want to call it Trumpism because I'm not really sure what Trumpism is, but
it's movement. It's nothing. It's nothing. So it's quite good to use it.
Yeah, the movement
it doesn't mean anything.
By Trump. Yeah, Trumpism in the Republican Party and people voting for them. And I think Biden, in an ideal world, could do a lot of that. Except that you've still got the problem that the Republicans are still in Congress, and quite probably will take the Senate back in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And even right now, the Democrats don't really have the Senate. They've got the deciding vote in Kamala Harris, assuming it's a 50-50 split on every single vote, and assuming that none of the more right-leaning Democrats feel obliged to vote with the Republicans on any particular matter. So
it's going to be tough,
the stimulus package, I honestly don't know how it's going to get through. I hope it does, but I don't see how it's going to get through, which means his first 100 days could potentially be a disaster because... And if Mitch McConnell is determined, as he has been historically, to destroy every Democratic attempt to do anything, he could really cause an upset by just strategically preying on those Democrats who lean right, who have a lot of Republican voters in their own states. He could really prevent Biden from achieving anything in his first 100 days, which would set the stage for a Republican seizure of the Senate and possibly the House in the midterms. And then Biden's presidency is... feckless, useless. And I think maybe Biden's an experienced enough politician that he can get the Republicans to support his things. Like, he's already banging on about the stimulus package, and I think it's quite clever that now he's president, or president-elect, sorry. He has the platform to say, this is what we're going to do. So suddenly the Republicans are under a lot of pressure to support it, or come out against it, and they have to have good reason to go against it. So he's in a good position, of course, because he's in the White House. But
I think it's also that because the Democrats technically have the Senate now, like even though it's very close, they can actually, whereas before Mitch McConnell could just not call a vote on things. Now, at the very least, they will be able to call a vote, and all the Republican no votes will be on record.
That's true.
So I think that would be damaging. And I think that would up the pressure for them to vote for the stimulus package. Because at the end of the day, a lot of Democrat policies, the public are very much in favor for. It's just the messaging Democrats are terrible at. Republicans have somehow convinced people, socialism is bad, but what is it? The Obamacare is terrible, but don't take away my Affordable Care Act. Somehow managed to convince people that they were two separate things.
And it's the same problem over here. It's a peculiar problem of the left wing in politics, isn't it? That in Britain, traditionally our left wing party, the Labour Party, the major opposition to our right wing Tory party, all their policies consistently are more favoured by the public in survey after survey after survey, yet they never win elections because those policies are successfully turned against them by the right wing. It's quite impressive. And one day maybe it'll flip and the left wing will get dirty and figure out how to twist the message.
I'd also be interested to see how members in the Senate and the House react when Trump goes, because there's this cloud of Trump hanging over them, isn't there? It's almost like a pressure from a personal standpoint of Trump being an imposing figure, but also, I guess, because of his supporters are so so adamant that he's the one for them. It'd be interesting to see if they are a little bit more able to be negotiated with after Trump leaves office. I'll be very interested to see what happens next with that, because I mean, as we can tell, a lot of politicians in general are very much in it for the careers, and they'll do what they can to remain in office for as long as possible. So I think it'd be really interesting to have a look at what happens with them after he goes.
You would hope that a taste of Trump would be cause for deep reflection amongst many long-term Republicans, particularly ones like Mitch McConnell, who I think is one of the few people who can be named and shamed as a cause of the state of American politics right now. He's not the only one. He's not the sole cause, but he's directly involved in the generation of this highly polarized environment. But now, hopefully, he's also, because his state always goes Republican, one of the few politicians who's privileged enough to ignore the pressure of Trump voters. Because he doesn't need them. So
he is the donkey that they're pinning the badge on.
So people like Mitch McConnell are the ones who we should watch, because not because of his influence necessarily, but because he's in a safe enough seat that he doesn't have to worry about Trump voters, and is directly responsible for the behaviors that have led to the situation in American politics that we have now. And therefore, if he changes, it means that the other ones hopefully are having the same kind of, the way we've acted for the past 40 years has really screwed things up. Maybe we should change a bit. But it has to happen on both sides. Obviously, the Democrats, like Ocasio-Cortez, I like her a lot, but she is guilty of demonizing the Republicans quite a lot because she talks like we talk. She's a millennial, so she says the same things we say. But people like her as well need to, reach across the aisle.
It's interesting that you brought up Mitch McConnell, actually, because he said recently, with regards to, and this is another thing that Biden's going to have to negotiate somehow, is what's going to happen with Trump's impeachment. Now that he has been impeached, obviously there's going to be a trial in the Senate. Mitch McConnell's told Republicans that to vote their conscience on this one. So I do wonder if he's basically giving them an excuse now. Okay, let's kick him out. Let's get rid of this. Like, now that Biden, maybe in Biden's honeymoon period, this will happen, and Trump will be formally impeached in the Senate, which means that he can't run for office again. Do you think that's likely to happen, or do you think they won't have the votes in the Senate?
It's tough to know. I mean, on the provisional voting to impeach, it suggests that they won't, doesn't it? But I'm sure a few could be convinced. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's incredibly close.
I think they need 17 Republicans to come on side.
They've got 10, haven't they?
That's quite a lot.
I think there's a real fear in the Republican Party that there will be this split between those who are supportive of Trump and all that he stood for, and those who are more traditional Republican leaning. Let's put it blankly. Trump has been a failure for the party in a lot of ways. He's had a really, really high turnout. He's got a lot of the popular vote, even though he, of course, lost it on 2 elections. But he's been impeached twice, and he's a one-term president. So purely statistically, in terms of the Republican Party, it has been a bit of a failure. And now I think they're thinking, okay, do we continue along that road and have the heir to Trump, a new up and coming, or do we go back to kind of the old conservative Christian values that the Republican Party has historically stood for? What do you guys think? Do you think they're too embedded in this kind of personality politics now?
I think the cult of personality is nothing new. It's just Trump, because he wasn't in politics before he suddenly became president, has brought that into real stark, hard light.
He's a typical populist, isn't he?
Yeah. I think you have to go to Jimmy Carter for the only president of the 20th century and 21st century who has no personality and was elected on policy. But even then, he was elected more like, he's not Nixon. Obviously, he was going up against Ford, but Ford was Nixon's VP and therefore was soiled by that.
Well, I mean, would you not agree that Biden is in very much the same category
Yeah.
as that. Not
I would not be
Trump.
surprised if
Closest to
Biden's a
it.
one-term president as well. I don't know, actually, Martin. I honestly don't know what the Republicans will do and where they'll go from here. I don't think the party will split. I think that's hyperbole. I think they'll stay together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
We could talk about this for hours,
Yeah.
but we clearly don't know what's going to happen. But I guess the question should be, what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think that Biden can negotiate all of these challenges that he has to face and somehow unite not just his own party, but the country as well? Let us know what your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. And if you want to hear more of our ramblings on this, then head over to our Patreon, where, as we said earlier, we do discuss the inauguration and what we think is going to happen there, if there's going to be any drastic problems that arise from that. But in the meantime, do you guys fancy a quiz?
Yeah.
Welcome, gentlemen, to this week's quiz. Is this the first time you guys have faced off in season 3 of
Quite
the
possibly.
podcast?
Maybe I can't remember actually. We might have done once before.
Can't remember
Maybe.
anymore. No, I think this is the first time I've done a quiz of series 3. So
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Okay.
So, as always, 10 questions plus a bonus question. However, there is a bit of a trick or a surprise with question number 10. So
no.
I'll leave it as a surprise. And
Question number 10 is, what colour underwear am I wearing?
well, you'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see, Robin. That's all I'm saying.
No underwear, psych.
I'm quickly rewriting question 10 now. Okay, let's hear your buzzers. Martin, what have you gone for?
My lovely lady, Delia Smith.
Nice.
There we go.
We should get her on as a guest one time.
We
We
should.
should. Yeah, we should ask. Yeah.
Can always ask. Why not?
No, I'm trying.
Okay, Robin, what have you got?
At the risk of losing the quiz through the buzzer battle.
Is there anyone here that wants to make contact?
Oh my god, it's
If
been a
anyone
while.
is in these woods, show yourselves.
Show yourself.
Sorry,
Oh,
Alex.
Why is the
but it's just
pause?
too good.
Why is the pause so pronounced there? If anyone else is
You're
in
thinking what to say, weren't you?
this, show yourselves.
Show yourself. I love it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, question number 1.
Okay.
What was the original title of Star Wars Return of the Jedi?
Is there anyone here that wants to make contact? If
Yes, Robin.
Revenge of the Jedi.
It was Revenge of the
was it?
Jedi,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Which I think then, correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, did that influence the prequels,
It did
the
indeed.
third film in the prequels?
Yeah,
of
Revenge of the Sith.
Ah, I did not know that. That's good. That's good
I
to
remember
know.
when they announced that title, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and it was all downhill from there.
Do people not like it?
No, it was the most exciting moment. The best thing about the prequel.
A
Episode
lot of
3.
people like that film, Robin. A lot of people like Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, well, a lot of people voted for Trump, didn't they?
People like Coldplay and voted for the Nazis. You can't trust people.
You cannot trust people. It's true. You can't trust people.
It's true.
Okay, question number 2. That's 1-0 to Robin. What is a miasma?
Miasma.
Ooh,
What's
that's
the
interesting.
describe for me a miasma?
anyone is in these woods,
Miasma.
show yourselves.
Go on
That's a
then, Robin.
really interesting question because I feel like it's a word I could use or even
Give it a go.
understand in a sentence.
Use it in a
but-
sentence.
But defining it, it's like a cloud of a haze. That's the best I could do.
I'm afraid I can't give that to you.
That's fair enough.
Cloud of a haze.
Cloud of a haze.
Not of a haze, I meant or of haze.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I mean, I've got to base my answer now off what you've said, Robin, because I just had no idea, and it'd be stupid not to if you say you can't give it to you. A miasma. I don't know. I'll just say something. Suspended water suspended in something, in air.
That is incorrect, I'm afraid.
Okay.
It's interesting you've both gone for you're It's the wrong kind
I've
of thing.
purely copied what Robin said and tried to make it slightly different because I don't know.
You're
I'm not going to lie here.
Okay. Well, Robin, you're not too far off, like, the matter of what it is.
Okay.
I guess
Oh, sorry, Delia.
What was that?
maybe it's something a bit more specific and descriptive. Something not very nice. I'll say that.
Okay.
And I'll give you one more guess each.
Did
before I
anyone
tell you.
die here?
The thing is, it's always a bad thing, isn't it? Miasma. I've never seen it used in a good way. So it's like moving from cloud and haze to fog. Isn't like like a nasty fog, like a foul stench or something like that.
I'm going to give it to you. It's an unpleasant or unhealthy smell or vapor. So a stench. A stenchy fog. I'll give that to you. That's
Thank you.
fine.
That's very kind. That's very.
What context would you use it in then? What would you say?
I would say Alex just described what a miasma is. I've just looked it up, and one sentence is a miasma of stale alcohol hung around him, or there was a miasma of despair over this place.
Interesting.
Okay.
So nice. It's a good word. I like it.
I like that because the miasma of stale alcohol, given that a miasma is specifically unpleasant, suggests that it's possible to have a pleasant smell of stale alcohol.
It's true. Yeah. Well done there, Robin. You don't get a bonus point for that.
Thank you. No, that's fine. You're very generous giving me a point, to be honest. Thanks.
Okay. Question number 3. Which Miley Cyrus song begins, "We clawed, we chained, our hearts in vain"?
Let's just go for the one I know.
Let's be having you!
Is it? Oh, is it? I don't know if there's more words. Wrecking Ball.
It is Wrecking Ball. Yes. Well done.
I was going to say, is it Came In Like a Wrecking Ball, but
No, it is just Wrecking Ball. You got that
good.
right.
Well done.
We clawed, we chained, our hearts in vain.
I was thinking chain, ball,
Yeah.
Very nice.
ball and chain.
Yeah. Cool. Question number 4. That's 2-1 to Robin. Where was the inventor of the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, born?
Is Dick Turpin in these woods? Show yourself!
Yes, Robin.
He's Scottish, so Edinburgh?
I'm going to give it to you. It's only the country that I was after. So
Oh, okay.
Scotland. So
Thank you.
yeah, but Edinburgh's in Scotland, so fair enough.
Yeah. That's the
I'm
same.
not sure where specifically he was born. Who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Google.
Probably
would
quite a few
definitely
people.
know.
probably Robin.
Who
No,
knows?
I bet I was wrong. I bet there's lots of places in Scotland.
Question number 5. So that's 3-1 to Robin.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I'll accept it as the closest wins. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll wait for you both to get your guesses in before saying.
Okay.
In which year did Prince Charles marry Lady Diana Spencer?
If anyone is in these woods, show yourselves.
Yes, Robin.
Okay. About me, yes. Okay. 1982.
Okay.
I was going to go for the next year after that. I was going for 83.
Okay.
Just because of the ages of Harry and William when she died.
It's not a bad. That's a good idea.
So Robin's gone 1982. Are you locking in your answer for 1983?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can reveal that Robin gets the point, but it was 1981.
Oh,
Really?
right.
Yeah.
Ah.
So
Really?
you were
So
both
they-
very
so they-
close.
They were married quite a long time then before they had William then. Because he was like, what, 11 or something when she died?
Yeah.
About that?
Yeah.
I was thinking like 11 and 9 or something like that.
Yeah, so married for a few years. Yeah.
Good job, Robin.
Well, lucky. I was almost going to go for 83, and I changed my mind to 82. So, Martin could have been the other way around.
Number the same year.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 6. That's 4-1 to Robin. What's the name of the long-anticipated replacement to the Hubble telescope slated to launch in 2021? I think it's been in development hell for years, decades now. But apparently it should actually be launched this year. However, they did say that about 2020, so we'll see.
Did anyone die here? Distinctly?
Yes, Robin.
I don't know the answer. I was going to say, is it like Star Citizen or something like that?
No, that is a video
That's
game.
Been development.
That's also being in development.
Exactly.
Have they raised like $300 million or
Something
something
crazy
for
like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it's never been
officially released.
Finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, our friends over at the Super Show podcast have the lowdown about that.
Okay, I'll tell you. It's the James Webb Telescope.
Ah,
okay.
good for James Webb.
Well done, James.
I've been well excited for that. It's a pretty big deal. We're gonna
Pretty
Yeah,
big,
it's
pretty big
exciting.
telescope.
Because Hubble's been amazing, and Kepler's the other one, isn't it? That's also really cool. So this one's going to be even better.
way
hopefully.
better. They're launching it into like deep space, I think, or far further away than the other ones. They can't do repairs on it basically, so it has to be perfect.
wow.
The launch.
That's so
Spot
exciting.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 7. That's 5-1 to Robin, 4-1 to Robin.
No, I didn't get that point, so it's just 4-1, I think.
Well, this is question
That sounds-
7, so there's been 6 questions. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Which book, written by American novelist F. Scott Fitzgerald, recently passed into the public domain?
Oh, what's it? Oh,
Here? Is Dick Turpin in
Let's be
these
having
woods?
you!
Do you know what? I think, and I'm not just saying this, I think I actually heard a little bit of crowd noise before I, heard
that's
myself.
true, yeah. I think Martin got it. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Martin.
Fitzgerald wrote. He wrote Bernice Bob's Her Hair, but he also wrote The Great Gatsby.
It is The Great Gatsby, yeah. Passed into public domain start of this year, January 1st, which
Nice.
probably means we're likely to face a
dozen
TV series, a
adaptations.
movie.
Yeah, big time.
I saw actually someone posted on Reddit the other day. They'd written an entire script for
Waiting for it.
a Muppets Great Gatsby. And I read it, and I read some of it.
I bet it's good.
It's 100 pages long, and it's so good.
Too long.
So
Yeah.
good.
Actually,
I could
a
actually
Muppets
see it.
Great Gatsby would be amazing. Yeah.
I can imagine that working quite well.
They had Kermit as Gatsby, and they had Nick Carraway was Tom Holland, I think, and the guy in Kingsman was playing Tom. Anyway, look into it. They should definitely do it. 100%.
What about, do they have songs in it as well?
Yeah, he's written songs in it.
Oh, amazing.
It's amazing. So good. Anyway, so that's 4-2 as we go on to question 8.
Ooh.
Okay, this will test your UK chain restaurant knowledge.
Oh god.
Gosh.
How many spice options are there at the chicken restaurant chain Nando's?
Spice options.
Okay.
Show yourself!
Let's be having you!
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to go for Martin again.
I wasn't sure that was right. Okay. So there's. I'm going to go for 6.
Oh,
There are 6. Yes, well done.
nice.
Yeah, there's plain, and I don't know if this is regional, but there's a
Plain lemon and herb.
plain lemon and herb, medium,
Medium hot, very hot.
extra hot, and then there's passion fruit and mango. Although I always knew it as mango and lime.
Mango. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was an option. I thought that was like a mild. Did you say mild?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's just called plain, isn't it?
Well, there's plain,
Well, plain has no sauce.
passion fruit and mango, and lemon and herb, which are like 2 different sauces that are both mild.
On it. Yeah, they used to have mild, and then they got rid of it.
I think lemon and herb was the mild, but maybe mild was a different one at one point in time. But there you go. The official answer is 6. So well
Yeah.
done, Martin.
Good stuff.
I know my chicken.
You know your
You know your
Nando's.
chicken.
You know your Nando's.
I haven't been there well, no one's been there in about It's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try seeing if they're still open for takeaway.
So that's 4-3 to Robin. question number 9.
Martin's going to do it. He's going to steal it from
You're still winning. You can't say double.
You got 2 questions. You're going to get them.
Okay. Question number 9.
Okay.
Which husband and wife duo starred in 2018 horror film A Quiet Place?
Oh.
Is there anyone here that wants to make contact?
Yes,
If anyone-
yes, Robin.
Emily Blunt. And his name is... Damn it. Jay.
5,
No.
4,
I can't remember his first
3,
name. It's Kaczynski,
2,
isn't it? Joe?
1,
Kaczynski.
0. Joe Kaczynski is what you're giving me. I sounded so insulted there.
I can't remember
That's
his name.
what you're giving me.
You're giving me that shit.
That's wrong, though. I can't remember his name.
It's not Emily
He directed
Blunt
it
and
as well.
Joe
He wrote and
Kaczynski.
directed the damn thing.
No,
Yeah.
I can't give you the point for that, I'm afraid.
That's fair enough. Martin, your chance.
Well, I don't know his first name, but I'll also have a guess. So Emily Blunt and John Kaczynski.
Do you know what? If I didn't give it to Robin, then I don't think I can give it to you because you're a little bit more right.
Oh,
It's in these
Oh my god!
words.
Oh my god! I know!
Show
I've seen.
yourselves.
I was thinking of a different movie. I've
Did
seen
anyone
it. It's
die
the dude.
here?
It's the dude from The Office, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
dude from
It's
The
the guy
Office.
from The Office. And
Robin.
you're right, it is John, but your surname's wrong. It's not...
Yeah.
What were we saying? We were saying Kaczynski?
You're saying Kaczynski, yeah.
But it's actually... Sorry, Mike, I buzzed in because I just needed to... I'm doing an Alex now, just buzz.
Yeah.
I'm not having this anymore. 5,
No.
3.
Krasinski? John Krasinski.
right.
Bravo, perfect, yeah. It's John Krasinski.
Bloody hell. Sorry,
Yeah.
Martin. I just wanted to seal that.
We're
deal.
giving points for that, are we?
I gave him a countdown and everything, and he did it.
I know.
He did it. Fair enough.
I know. Krasinski.
So that is 5-3 as we go on to question 10.
We even got John.
So,
Well, from
sorry,
you.
Martin.
From you.
But Martin, look, you can still bring it back. Because question 10 is split into 5 parts with
Oh
5
my
questions up for grabs.
Mental.
They're
Oh
eating
my
her,
God.
and now they're going to eat me.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
I think for this to work though, because otherwise Robin could take advantage and technically just go with your options. I'm doing this as a buzz-in, so you have to buzz and then guess. So like the other questions, basically.
Okay.
I didn't need to explain that. But the question 10 is, who said that? Was it Trump, Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, or Stalin? You have to guess who said these questions.
that's
and
good.
There's 5
Hitler,
quotes.
Trump, Mussolini, Stalin. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So 2 of them will be one of them. Okay.
What?
2 of them will be. There's 5 quotes for
Yeah.
dictators.
Or 3 of
Well,
them could be one of them.
3
You never
dictators.
know.
Oh, all right. I see. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, quote number 1. Quote number 1. Beauty and elegance, whether in a woman, a building, or a work of art, is not just superficial or something pretty to see.
What were the options?
Is
Donald
Dick
Trump.
Turpin here?
Trump, Hitler,
Hitler,
Is
Stalin.
Dick Turpin in
Stalin,
these
or
words?
Mussolini.
Show yourself.
Yes,
Rudiger?
Robin.
Genuine guess, but Hitler was an artist, so I'm going to go with Adolf Hitler.
It is not Adolf Hitler.
Sugar.
The options-
The
The options have reduced.
I
Martin.
was thinking that sounded quite. Can you say it again? The beauty of is
Beauty and elegance, whether in a woman, a building, or a work of art, is not just superficial or something pretty to see.
Would Stalin say pretty? I'm going to go Mussolini.
It was not Mussolini.
Ooh.
No.
Do we get to buzz again?
It's between those 2.
Yeah, you get to buzz again.
Okay.
I think
Is
it
there anyone here that
resets
wants to
though.
make contact?
Okay.
If anyone is in these words,
Go on then, Robin.
Stalin.
It's not Trump, is it?
It's not
Oh
Stalin.
my god.
No.
Well, I'm going to pick up the scraps, I'm afraid, Robin.
No.
Was it Donald J. Trump?
It was Donald J.
I
Trump,
do
Martin.
not believe
In
he said
his,
that.
he said it in his 2006 book. You've been bamboozled by the
Okay.
pretty words, but if you actually listen to what he's saying, it makes no sense.
Okay.
Oh, 100%. But then
Beauty and
I imagine-
elegance, whether in a woman, a building, a man, a camera, a TV.
Well, so you said it was in a book, so it wasn't him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Attributed to him. But it wasn't.
It's attributed to him, but
Yeah.
he definitely did.
Yeah.
I feel better now. When I said Stalin, I was like, no. And you like, no. I was like, this can't be. How can he have said something so English?
Okay. Quote number 2.
Bizarre.
I'll turn my life into a masterpiece.
Oh, I mean,
Oh, come on.
shall I go first?
Go on then,
Turn
Martin.
my life into a masterpiece.
It's 5-4, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
My life into a masterpiece. I'm going to go for Hitler.
It is not Hitler. No.
Okay.
Show yourselves.
Go on then, Robin.
Did anyone?
I'm gonna preempt this embarrassment and say, was it Trump?
It was not Trump, no.
Okay.
It's my life into a masterpiece. So who would have struck? I mean,
Going
Stalin.
here.
Humble
Is
beginnings.
Dick Turpin here?
Oh, go on then, Robin. Robin buzzed
okay,
first.
yeah. Okay.
I hate this.
Just to
50-50.
establish the rules, in case there's any confusion. If you buzz first, the other person gets to go, and then from there it resets, so either of you can buzz first again.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I assumed, yeah.
Yeah.
So I said Trump, Martin said Hitler. So it's Mussolini or Stalin.
I need a name.
Is it Stalin?
It's not Stalin.
Is it? Is it Mussolini?
It's
Alex?
Mussolini. Yeah. This quote's been translated in various ways, and it's one of his most famous quotes that's been attributed to him anyway.
Good line.
I'll turn my life
It's a good line.
into a masterpiece.
Good
Yeah.
line.
I like it. It is. That's. I mean, it was more on the lines of what I thought would be the first quote. I thought would be him. It's quite flat. It's quite flowery language, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
There you go. So that is now your level pegging at 5 each. As we go on to quote number
Sorry, Rob.
3.
No, don't be sorry. It's just I kind
Very
of
unjust.
This is hilarious.
Having said that,
I feel like
if
yeah.
I was going to say, if I buzzed in with the last one before you, I would have said Stalin 2
Oh, really?
and would have given you the point, and you would have got the point.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. It's about yeah,
Taking that risk.
yeah.
Quote number 3. The world belongs to the man with guts.
That's got to be Hitler.
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
It is Hitler. Yeah, well done.
Martin
Well done,
knows
Martin.
dictators. This is
Well, okay. He says, picking up the scraps of the last two, and all other options are exhausted.
You know your dictators after like the 3 other options.
Yes, that's the other thing. The other 3 have been chosen. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. He said this in March 1936 after the successful German reoccupation of the Rhineland. So
Yeah.
should have
was
seen
that
it
again?
coming,
What did he
really.
guts. Man belongs to man with guts.
He said the world belongs to the man with guts, which is a pretty ominous saying before World War II, isn't it? People probably were a bit worried after that. Okay, you've got to get this one. There's 6-5 to Martin now. Quote number 4.
Okay.
Pardon me. A single death is a tragedy. A million is a
Dick Turpin in
statistic.
these woods. Show
things.
yourself. Buddha.
Go on then, Robin.
Pretty sure this was Stalin.
This was Stalin.
It was Stalin,
Yay! Say it enough times and it will be correct.
Okay, so that's 6-all as we go into the final
Blimey.
question
Oh, Martin's
of
going to do
question
it.
10.
He's going to do it.
Okay.
It's 50-50. Depending on if you know the quote.
Good people don't go into government. Martin.
I think this could well... Oh, could it be Trump? It could be Trump. Yeah, it's Trump.
It is Trump, yes. Well done. This was an interview he gave with The Advocate back in 2000 before running for president a couple of times.
He's not wrong
Wow.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Look, I'm telling you straight, I'm not a good person. Good people don't go into government.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Well done.
I don't know what even happened there. Sorry, Robin.
No,
I
well
have to
done,
apologise.
Martin. That's fine. You won fair and square. That's great. Well played.
Well done, Martin. You are on the scoreboard.
I'm on the board. Yeah.
with your first win of Series 3.
Oh no, Alex dominates
there you
now.
go.
Alex dominates.
Well, I haven't won anymore.
He's like the
because
1% watching Martin and me, the 99% just fight amongst ourselves for the scraps
destroy
falling from
ourselves,
his table. Yeah.
You're both one quiz behind me. I'm not.
No, we're going along this line.
No.
This is the line we're
This
taking.
is it.
Okay. Well, would you like the bonus question?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
This is a closest wins.
Okay, cool.
Obviously, otherwise that would be insane. How many words are there in the King James Bible?
Oh.
It's hard to really guess,
That's
isn't
very
it?
interesting.
Times.
That's annoying because this is something I'm sure I used to know, but have completely forgotten.
One is in these woods. Show yourselves. Did anyone die here?
Yes, Robin.
Closest wins, so 1 million.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like too many to me.
I think it is.
My initial thought was like 420,000, but I think I've got to up it now.
It could be.
I'll stick with the one. 420,000.
420,000. And sure, it's not 690,000.
What is this?
420, 69. That was a joke.
Well,
Whatever.
okay.
So what have you gone for, Martin?
420,000.
I need to get a calculator for this one.
Oh, really?
Well, actually, I'll say it first. You can work it out. It's 783,137.
Yeah, Robin's closer.
Yeah, I think.
What did you say, Robin? 1,000?
1 million.
Robin said 1 million.
I said 1,000. I'm closer.
450,000.
What?
Sorry, that's
Yeah, so there's 300. Yeah, 350,000. Yeah, so I think Robin gets the point.
Just.
well done. Yeah.
350,000 between you, Martin, and then with you, Robin, it's like
200.
220.
200 something. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well done.
Big old book.
Yeah.
It's a big book.
Tis a big book.
Nice. Well done. Well done, guys.
Yeah, well done.
Congratulations,
Great quiz.
Martin.
Thank you. Yeah, well done, Martin. Well played.
A shrug from me.
No, you
Shrug
deserve
from me.
it.
It doesn't feel like the most deserved quiz. But
No, you did.
Well, I thought I'd end
I'll roll with
on since this has been a very politically dominated podcast, I thought I'd end on a political question. Why not?
very good.
As we say, goodbye to Donald Trump and his presidency. Next week we do a podcast. Next week you're watching this. Biden will be president unless something drastic happens during the inauguration or in the days leading or, after his inauguration. We shall see. But in the meantime, thank you everyone so much for listening and sticking with us for this whole time. If you did want to listen to us some more, head over to our Patreon page. And if not, we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.